Okay. Uh, Post. Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Okay,
got it. Thanks, Clinton.
100. Thanks.
Cheers,
Cheers,
then.
bye.
Bye. Right, gotcha. Okay, what's the time? Coming up to half past. Yeah. Just remember, guys, if you do see a signal and it looks a bit strange, like the GBP one, 1.1.10 or whatever, it's no harm. Just send me a quick WhatsApp. I think we changed it again. It's obviously 1 point. Ignore that 1 point, isn't it? Just go 1.086 the TP. Okay. Um, Right. And people should get just bloody placing pending orders, get a bit sort of not understanding with it. Remember, if it's a better price, go for it. If it's 1 pip or 2 pips, what's it matter? Go for it if you like it. If it's about 15 pips worse, then you might say, I'll hang five. If it's 15 pips better and you like the trade, what a pleasure. Go for it. You're getting a 15 pip better price. As simple as that. It's just trying to think it's like buy. It's all business buying and selling. If you've got a product you want to buy and you have to pay 100 and it's going for 95, why would you wait to get to 100 and put an offer in 100? Clearly, you put an offer, you go in at market. Just try and get that concept. Okay. Hi, guys. That's probably the best way to simple it. It's all about just like any business, buyers and sellers. You go into a shop, the shop guy wants to sell your product at 10, and you think it's good value at 10, so you buy it, and vice versa. So it's exactly the same principle. The difference of the market, it puts buyers and sellers together. You don't have to go and hunt around for buyers and sellers. They're already sitting there on your plate for you at the click of a button. That's the beauty of the market. It's called the secondary market, by the way. Primary markets when you go for a listing, and then obviously well then you hand over what's called a secondary market, and those guys on the market buy and sell those shares or those forex or whatever in the normal way. Okay. Right. Okay. At half past, we can get started. Okay, we've got a couple of trade ideas out. We'll start off with this one. Hope everyone understands why we're saying sell it. Why do you have some pairs of positives? Sometimes some you sell short. Remember, when you're selling short, you're selling what you don't own, and therefore the respondent who's buying gets the interest rate, and vice versa on the balance. Okay. But it's peanuts anyway, the swap fees. Just bear in mind it's there. But on the tiny amounts involved, it's a normal interest rate is about 6-7%. I can't remember, not very much per year on a daily basis. It's absolute peanuts. But the borrower pays interest, the seller is selling what it doesn't have, so the guy's buying it will get the interest. It's a smaller interest, to be honest, than the long interest, a short interest. You get a smaller interest rate a little bit. So there you are. Okay. Right. Dollar yen. Right. Some guys might be thinking, why are we looking to short the dollar yen? Clearly, let's go on, squeeze in a bit. It's clearly a hell of an upward movement. Why we want to be doing that? Well, the major reason is no problem, Ebony. It's a good question, actually. Not many people ask that, actually, but it's a good point. I think pretty don't wonder why they're paying swap fees in the first place. They understand they're paying interest on the borrowed amount. Remember, when you put 2,000 around the market, you're not responsible for 2 grand. You're responsible for the entire amount. The deposit is the margin is, let's say, 1 to 100. That's 1% deposit. So you own 1% of that. The other 99% is lent to you, and you pay an interest on that. But interest, because again, the emotions take over. I think they're buying a house or a car, which is several hundred thousand or a million or two. No, it's just tiny amounts. So it's there, but yeah, if you don't want to pay interest, then you pay cash. If you haven't got the cash, well, you can't trade. So that's why you pay interest. Okay. That's the whole idea of deposits, Can't buy a 200,000 rand car, you put a deposit down. But remember, even though 10 grand deposit or 20 grand deposit or whatever the deposit is, that's not the money. The money is your exposure, which is the motor car of the full value. Always remember that. Doesn't understand those differentials, please tell me, because you've got to know you're in a highly risky, leveraged product environment. And it's very fast moving because of the leverage. And you've got to understand the pros and cons of it. I quite explain it, but people don't ask and wonder why they don't understand. Okay. Just sorry, let this guy's in. Okay, morning, Mike. Right. Okay. So why do you think I would be looking to short this on obviously a very strong momentum upside on the yen, which is pretty weak at the moment? Any ideas why I've thought this might be a possible short? You must interact, guys. It's getting more imperative. You must interact. It's taking too long for respondents. We need to interact because it's taking time up, you know. Just glaring at the screen won't teach you anything. You've got to interact. Thank you, Gerard. Yeah. I'm not saying they will, but if they do, listen to this. This is very important. This is if they do, you're getting a nice quick movement. I've got a TP at 150. Those guys who know the score might want to change that TP to 148. They can always modify it, you know. Might want to change it lower because they suddenly have a big it can shoot down like he did last time. But look at this one. This came down the last intervention, remember? Came down nearly 300 pips. Bang, within less than a minute. However, let's say they don't intervene. The fear of intervention is such that the traders out there are very nervous of buying into at these levels in case they get caught with an intervention. So they're putting some sort of air of taking profit pretty close to when they enter, especially the high-speed traders that go in for short movements. Okay, they're very careful of putting TPs right up there because they're worried about intervention. So they're scared as well. So and when you put a TP in on a long, it's a sell order, guys. And that sell order means what it says. It's selling, which could have some pushing down to the price. So I'm thinking it might, the mere fear of intervention, it might start getting jittery buying these levels. Guys might unload their positions and it might get some downside movement. Okay. Or at best, you get an intervention, you get a big downside movement. That was the whole theory behind this particular short in highly a strong area on a weak currency of buying it. Does that make sense, guys? If it doesn't, well, try again. Maybe Hera can explain it, but does that make sense? Or Ebenezer or anybody? I'm just explaining it now, Lorato. Does everybody understand why I'm not going by the indicator? I'm going by what I've just said. Are we on the same page? Please tell me if not. I know you do, Gerard. I want some of the guys who are fairly new. I want them to interact, put their hands up, because they're getting themselves knocked around simply because they're not interacting and don't know what's going on. If you interact, I can assist. And it's for your side. Really, I mean it. You got that, Vilna. Good stuff. Morning. Have we got that? That's what I want to find out. Not from Gerard or Cecil. I'm pretty, or Ebenezer coming. I'm pretty damn sure they know. I'm talking about, or Mike McLean. Talk about guys. Do you get this? What I'm on about? Okay, right, Muzi. Thank you. That's what we need. That's what I need. If you're a bit lost, tell me. Right now, the yen is very weak at the moment. Now it helps exports because when you buy a Toyota with a weak yen, you're paying less in your own currency, clearly. The problem is they don't have oil. So they're paying a lot of money for oil above the price because they're buying oil in dollars. The US is dominated, the oil is denominated in US dollars. So if a weaker yen, it means it costs more. A bit like you don't see much change in the oil price. Why put the price of petrol up in South Africa? Is because the rand, let's say, weakens, so they're paying more rands to get that barrel of oil. Same principle of here. So the Japanese government, on this particular date, what they did was, what was that? The 3rd of October, decided that they were going to intervene in the markets. Now, when I say intervention, that's because the size of the Forex market is so huge. Joe Soap can't do it. They're not big enough. A government can, especially a supposedly wealthy country which is battling with debt at the moment. A supposedly wealthy country like Japan. So what they do is they don't trade the market. They buy up a large, what we call tranche, T-R-A-N-C-H-E, tranche of yen, not dollars. They buy yen. They're not necessarily selling dollars or selling euros. Nothing to do with it. They're buying yen. Now, I can't give you the exact figures, but it's probably around about the 80, maybe slightly more, I don't know, probably around the $80 billion mark, $80,000 million they'll buy of yen. What happens you buy that amount, you'll have a movement on the market, the sheer size of it. And you have the movement against the yen, again, the peso, against the rand, doesn't really matter. That yen will strengthen. What happens when it strengthens? It shoots down like this. As soon as that trade goes out, they bought that amount up. It's within a minute, you get a movement in that direction, strengthen. And the other side of the coin will obviously weaken accordingly. Are we good with that? Now, it happened there and it had a slight one the other day as well, just to frighten the guys off. So they put a slight psychological barrier on people bidding the yen lower and lower and lower and bidding the other currencies up because they're frightened of another intervention. Because you get intervention, it could actually cause slippage by going through the stop. You remember the stop is a buy or sell order. If there's no buy or sell at that place where the stop is, because the movement is so rapid, you only get out when the buy and sell come back in again. And that could be a large amount of slippage on your stop. So this is what you got to understand. So the guys are worried about it. So the guys are bidding it up, as in selling the yen, are probably putting TPs and watching like a hawk to get out quickly. Don't want to caught the trousers down. If they start getting more and more nervous near the 151 level, they might actually either not trade it or go in very cautiously or even start short selling it like I've done in preempting that might happen. That will cause a bit of downside, strength of the yen and downside of the other currency, which might not be quick, but it's going in your favor. If the guys still bid it up, because remember, not everyone's that knowledgeable trading. We've got millions of people trading who are the retail trade, not so aware of it. So there'll be a lot of guys out there might not be aware of that, still bidding it up because they can see the momentum's up and they could get caught. So they'll let those guys bid it up until the Japanese government says, these guys not listening to me, will buy another 50, $60 billion worth and bang the yen and bang the yen up and the other currency will come off. In this case, the base currency is the dollar. So if they buy the yen, it'll depress the other side, won't it? The other side, the seesaw, the dollar, and that will therefore come off. So at best, you can have a nice big quick movement, will within a minute not hit your TP, or it can drift slowly downside. But if they don't intervene, it continues to weaken, the trades will start getting cocky again and start bidding it up. That's why we have a stop loss, just in case. And the stop loss is high enough, we hope, that it's not going to get triggered. And if it does, you've worked out your risk accordingly. So that's the reasons why. Are we all on the same page? Because this is important, very important. The reason why I did that. Okay. They did that. They did take it away, but they hope to correct themselves because they put out a psychological fear barrier. If that doesn't happen, they might have to put their hands back in their pockets and do something about it. Are we good guys with that? Is that explanation okay so you understand it? Sorry to go on, but sometimes I waffle too quickly and not always understood. So the newer guys, have you understood that? That's the idea behind it. If you think it's too risky against that momentum and the BOJ will not intervene, it'll continue up, then you just don't take the trade. As long as you understand the parameters why we pushed it out there, put it out there. Okay, you got that. Okay, that's the reason behind it. You might have a Christmas Day soon, or you might drift anyway. Or if it does go against you, well, you've got a stop loss to protect. But I thought there's a good 65% probability on this happening, or even slightly more. That's why I sent the trade. I like to work on a minimum of 65%. Below that, I sometimes do a 60, but as long as I can do it my money, I'm talking about you guys in the trade. I've mentioned 60% if you want to take the risk, sometimes it's worth it. But I think that's why I did it. Oh, we got. Very important. Right. Remember, you do not trade fundamentals. You are aware of them and respond accordingly. Don't think, yes, we had a bomb going off somewhere, we'll buy or sell a specific currency. It's too late by then. You've got to be aware of the likelihood. 3 o'clock this afternoon, we're getting a very important fundamental coming out in Timbuktu. You don't want to be trading the Timbuktu currency because anything could happen. Be aware of it and so you're aware of it rather than actually trading it. Unless, like we do, the straddle trade on the US CPI and the, the non-farm job report, then we do a straddle trade. Okay. Very important. Good stuff. Great stuff, guys. Okay, we've got a couple other out as well. AUDCHF as a short. I've got a couple of CHFs I want to buy, but I don't want to get overexposed. We don't want to get a situation where something goes wrong with the Swiss franc and you got 4 open positions in it and you hit 4 times. We don't want that to happen. I think we had it last week. We had 3 open and the Swiss franc decided to go and weaken up, and that didn't help our cause. So yeah, I see the stability of the Swiss franc coming in. We've had a bit of a jump up. It's still stable, and I think the strip's going to strengthen. The Aussie dollar on the fundamental side, there's a lot of free trade with China. China's economy is not getting the growth that they would like. They're having still problems with the big property companies, etc. So going through a bit of the wars at the moment. And the Aussie dollar's got a bit of an inflationary problem. They've put the interest rates up a bit, but they're still a bit wary of it. So I think there could be some weakness there against a stronger currency. So I thought the short might be okay on that. Or better okay, I thought it'd be a likelihood of 65% or more, hence the short sell. The idea is getting at 73 on the bid or the sell. It's now 2 pips down on that, but we haven't broken even yet because you enter, that's the spread, remember? You enter there, you get out there on the short. If you're going long, you enter there, get out there. So it's got to come off. If you entered at 70, where's the price there? 73, the buy or the ask price has got to come down to 73. So if you sell short at that, you get out of this guy. This guy's got to come down to 73 to break even. So when you go into a trade, you'll always see a minus sign because you get in there. That's the market maker's brokerage or spread. Or if you're going long, you get in there. That's got to go up to that to break even. That's why when you enter, you always see a minus sign. I hope that's all clear. Yeah, Antonio, but that's just good stuff. Yeah, I looked at yesterday as well, and other stuff or whatever. I got a few trades open, but anyway, I brought it up this morning. You spot already, and already you're a few pips in profit. A bit too close to modify, but you're a step ahead of the game. Remember, again, do not forget. Do not forget. If you're selling short and the price on the market price is higher than the signal price, for goodness sake, do not put a sell stop in, go at market because you're getting a better price. Okay. Okay, now you know Valdu. I think pronounced the V, hey, Valdu, yeah. Always you go and be a negative. That's the com, if you like. Once you see blue, you got rid of the costs, and that's your profit. So that's why you know in future. Okay. A lot of guys don't do basic maths. Let's say a commission account and say you bugs you're charging 50% commission. Well, let's say the commission is 100 and you get out with a 200 rand profit. Obviously, commission is 50%. That's hectic because you got out too early, nowhere near, where the TP was, the traded chance. Let's say you got out 1,000, your commission is still 100. Now it's only 10%. If you make 10,000, your commission is only 1%. The commission is the same. It's relative to the profit you made when you exit. So you go in and as a 100 rand commission, and you make 100 rand profit, and you get out, you haven't made any money. All my money has been taken commission. How many people can't understand that basic arithmetic? It's pretty frightening. Of course, if you haven't waited to overcome the costs, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? That's the point. Okay, I hope it's clear enough. Anyway, basic arithmetic seems to be an issue. I'm not sure the teaching at school in South Africa, but clear the people come out with matric are not fully understanding the basic understanding of numerical literacy. And to survive, you have to have that. It's like not being able to read or write. Very important. So the commission is 100. If you get out 50 rand profit, well, you're going to lose 50 bucks. If you get out 10,000 rand profit, you still only pay 100 rand. Your commissions are set or whatever. In this case, it's the spreads. Okay. So if you get in at short 71 and it goes down to 70, you get out, you haven't even covered your spreads. There's no point. I hope that's all clear now. Remember, you are in leveraged instruments. Okay, before we go into that again, the other one was a GBP CHF. That was a sell at 51. Last 2 digits to make it easier. 1056789. You know what I mean? Right. Again, this is not quite in profit because the ask has not come down to 51. The bid has, but not the ask. When that comes down to 51, you'll be in a profit if it does. Remember, I cannot predict the markets. I take a viewpoint. Nobody can. Will that go up or down? I don't know. I think it's going to come off. That's why we got the trade idea. That's why I'm protective stop loss. Okay. Hope that's all clear. Now, does anybody here, when I say you're in leverage positions where you put a margin down, when we talk about 100 to 1 leverage, 500 to 1 leverage and leverage positions, does anybody not understand that? Because overseas, you can't trade this unless you take a basic Q&A test to see you understand you're in speculative high risk positions because it is leveraged. And a lot of guys here, even though I think they've got to take a disclaimer or whatever and say they do, I'm pretty damn sure they don't. So anybody here, I know Edwin and Chris does, I know that. Sorry, guy, I'm holding you up. But anybody new here, when I say you're in leverage positions, do you all know the pros and cons of that? Because that's vital. We don't want to be driving in a very fast car when you think you're driving at 30 Ks on a bicycle. You've got to know what speed you're doing. You get the idea. It's dangerous because you don't know what speed you're doing, like having a speedometer. Not completely. Sorry, guy, I'm holding up. It's got to be. It should be taught in the class. It's not really my job to do this. That's what people are paying all this money to SMC, which I don't get, I might add. Ha, ha, ha. But yeah. Well, of course we do moves. We all do, of course. If those are short, those who are long don't want that to happen. Poor guys, eh? Right. Your leverage position means you're putting deposit down. I'm going to make a very quick example. I always use something you're familiar with. I'm going to use a property. You've got a property here for R1,000,000 you want to purchase. Now, you said, yes, I like to purchase it, and you do the deal. Now, your exposure is the R1,000,000 property. So we talk about exposure, we mean R1,000,000 exposure, because that's what you're responsible for. The problem is, Poon, you do not have R1,000,000. So what do? You go to the bank and say, can I borrow? And the bank says, yes, I want some collateral. I want some good faith deposit. We call it margin. Margin deposit means the same thing. We want some good faith deposit or margin to show you're putting up your side. Okay. So they will turn around and say, okay, check your credit risk, and you want to buy that property, and they like the property themselves. They're going to do an inspection of it, by the way, to make sure it's valuable, because they don't want to risk banks' money either. All right. And they say, right, you're a good credit risk there, Poon. We're going to give you a 90% loan. You've got to come up with 10% deposit or margin. Right. Got so far, so good. So you put in the 100,000 Rand, and you go up with a bottle of champagne, you celebrate your wife, say, we have our property. Well, 10% of you do, the other 90% you own. That bank, what do they get in return for giving you that? Well, lending you that money, not giving, big mistake. A lot of people think they're giving you money. No, they're not. They're lending it to you. What they get in return, they get an interest rate. That's the swap fees on a daily basis. All right, so a lot in R1,000,000 now. It's not much on this, but the same principle. Okay. Now, what is the leverage on that? If you divide 100,000 to 1,000,000, it's 10%. Sorry, it's 100,000 is 10. So your leverage on that 100,000 deposit is 10 to 1. Okay. Now the property, excluding costs, goes from R1,000,000 to 100, but by 10% to 1.1 million Rand. It's gone up by 100,000 Rand. It's gone up by 10%. You have made 100,000 Rand profit, excluding costs. Let's pretend there's no cost. You made 100 grand profit. The point I'm trying to make is you have not made 10% profit. You've made 100% profit because you did not invest R1,000,000 of your own money. You invested 100,000. That's why we call it 10 to 1 leverage. That's great, you say. But what happens if the property price comes down by 10%? You get the idea. It comes down by 100 grand. You have lost 100% because the property price came down by 10%. You are responsible for the exposure. And the commissions on all transactions are made on the exposure. You buy a 200 grand car and the commission involved. It's not on the 10% deposit. It's on the 200 grand. You go to state agent and it says it's X% commission. That's on the R1,000,000, not on your deposit. Do you say the commissions are high because you got in out too quick? No, they're not. They're tiny, actually. Very small indeed, believe it or not, especially on 100 to 1. I'll give an example. The 5 to 1 leverage, that means your deposit on R1,000,000 house is 2,000 Rand. So you think you're paying a high comp, it's a tiny amount. Seems a lot on 2,000 Rand, but that's just your deposit. It's tiny on the £1,000,000. So you must be aware of exposure and not overexpose because the leverage is involved. And the problem is people don't understand that. They say, I've only got £1,000. I want a higher leverage account so I can go in bigger. They want to get 1,000 to 1 leverage account. The problem with that, a tiny movement in the exposure, the underlying instrument, is margin call for you. Because once your free margin, that's your collateral, runs out, your position will be immediately closed. Don't care where your stop loss is, because the bank is not going to take the risk of bailing you out, or they're in the interest rate. They're not there taking the risk. They're there for lending you the money for the interest rate. Okay. You want to make a big buck. They're after the 4, 5, 6, 7% with interest rate. You want to make your 30, 40% returns. So you've got to take a risk. They're not taking the risk out of the tiny returns. How can they do it? Because they got volumes. I'll go back to Pern again. Sorry to make sure everyone else. I know it's you got a free margin. The actual margin level's got to become about 80%. But try and keep it above 100%. Then you're safe. Okay. You don't overexpose. Got to understand that, guys. And that's why just saying, no, I don't want to put more money, I'll just increase my leverage. That's living in a fool's paradise. That's why a position calculator. It doesn't matter then what the leverage is. If you've got 10 grand, you're prepared to risk 600 rand on that trade, whatever the leverage is irrelevant. You should look at the figures and say, if I go in with that stop loss and TP, if I get stopped out, my risk is 600 rand, whatever the leverage is. But people don't do that and say, hang on, I want more leverage. Now I can go in fantastically big positions, forgetting on their 2,000 rand account, they might have something like a couple of 100,000 rand or more exposure. The exposure doesn't have to move them up percentage-wise to knock you. I hope you understand this because it's vital. Then you less people calling up and with tears saying, we took your money because we closed it nowhere near my stop loss because you can do it. And then guys putting ridiculously small amounts in their account because they don't understand what's involved here. And the one they can't go into a trade because they haven't got enough deposit. I can afford 10 grand a month for the property, but I've only got 15 grand deposit. Well, no, the collateral is 50 grand. I can't buy or sell. I can't buy the property because I don't have enough margin or deposit. That's why I can't get into a trade. Unfortunately, there's no ways around any form of business if you're short of capital. Okay. If you're undercapitalized, you're always going to have an uphill struggle. It's as simple as that. And this dream stuff of saying, I've got Solul money, but this is going to make a lot of money very quickly and solve my financial problems. No, you've got to have knowledge, you've got to understand a little bit of it. You've got to have equipment to place the trades, obviously, and an internet connection, which I'm a bit of a problem down in the South Coast of mine. And you have to have capital. Try and look at it this way. Go to business broker and say, I've got 1,000 rand or 500 rand capital. What business can I buy? You're going to burst out laughing, isn't he? People come in and try and do this a business. You need the capital. The other guys might say that because they want to make whatever they want to make. I'm trying to be honest and upfront with you guys with proper trading principles to make sure I don't want to spoil your dream. I want to try and make it realistic. And I can't help you make it realistic if you're going with pipe dreams. You know what I mean? I think when I go to the hairdresser, I'm going to come out looking 30 years of age and like Mr. Universe. No, that's a pipe dream. I look even better than that. No, it's a pipe dream. Let's be realistic here. Okay, I hope we're clear. Okay, so are we clear now? GBP CHF, is it coming off? Not really. What price you got in at? GBP CHF. 1.051. What's it now? Not quite there yet, but we'll see how it goes. It's pretty slow. I want to come back on that. Any questions on that, please bring it up. But before I forget, I want to mention that Powell is speaking tonight. He's the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the US at 9 o'clock our time. And we'll see what he has to say, but it could up the US dollar. And the GDP has the GBP has a GDP coming out tomorrow. And some of the expectations there, it could be in the negative. That's why I'm fairly negative on the pound at the moment. And I'm putting against one of the stronger currencies. That's the idea behind it. Okay, I also want to give you, while I'm on the roll talking here, the economic calendar. Please copy and save it. You need to keep an eye on that. We all make a mistake. I've missed it a couple of times as well. Busy carrying so much else stuff going on. Call comes in, replying to that, doing whatever. And you miss it occasionally. Okay, but try and keep an eye on that because you don't want to go into a currency when a major fundamental is coming out in that specific currency in a short period of time. You might get a lucky day, but then you might be unlucky. And it's nothing to do with technicals. That's a fundamental and it'll move the markets. If the Japanese government decide to buy $100 billion of Japanese yen suddenly, double tops, you can forget about all that. That yen will strengthen accordingly. They've done it before, and it'll probably start weakening again because the underlying problems they've got there haven't gone away. Just or they've created a bit of a fear zone, not to bid it too weakly. That's basically the idea behind it. Work where you like, my friend, as long as it works for you. I'm here to assist and help you. Where you work from is your choice. I'm going to give you the dollar index. You guys, please save it. Very important. You want to know what's happened with the dollar. It's made up a basket of currencies, which the biggest part of that currency in that index is the euro. By the way, it's over 50% of it. But it is made up of the euro, yen, the Swiss franc, the pound, Canadian dollar, and the Swedish krona. Okay, and this one is the yields on the 10-year bond. Sorry, the 10-year US Treasury note or bond. Okay, that's the yields are basically, you put 100 grand in and you get an interest rate. The yields interest rate, same thing. Why do you need to know that? Because if the yields go up, it's normally nothing's 100%. It's normally negative for gold and negative for the stock market. If yields go down, it's normally positive for gold, positive for the stock market. Why did it suddenly happen otherwise? Because there are other fear factors involved. But that's an overall area, so you know going forward. The CPI is a consumer price index, and the PPI is a producer price index on all countries. Because of the size of the economy and the effect it has on the world, we concentrate only when we do the straddle trade, which we'll be doing on Tuesday next week for the US CPI, not the PPI, just the US CPI. We'll do a straddle trade, be from 3 o'clock to explain the mechanics of it. So have it ready for the data is 3:30. And the session will be from 3 till 4 on a Tuesday, which is next week. We do straddle trades on that, which is like a buy stop, sell stop above and below the market. But they do affect what's happened to the States, and what happens to the States affect everybody else. That's why they're closely watched. And thin trading comes in before those major fundamentals come out because people are nervous as to how that fundamental will come out. And even more important, how the markets react to that fundamental. That's why they can be a bit nervous when these major fundamentals come out. I don't understand. Is that a light to that one or not yet? Sorry, I'll have to rephrase that. I don't know what you're talking about. Is there a light to that one or not yet? Could you just rephrase that, Brandon? Not sure what that means. I do typos for Africa, so I get you. But unfortunately, I don't interpret it and get the wrong of the stick. Link, sorry. The link's there for you to copy and save in your laptop and minimize when you're trading to keep an eye on them. That's what they're for. Okay. Okay. All good with that? These are stuff are imperative to know. Telling you about majority of traders in the world out there, retail traders, are just going by some sort of green or red candle movement or some personal emotion. And unfortunately, that doesn't cut it. Remember, this is a zero-sum game. The losers pay the winners. And clearly, I won't even ask the question which side of the coin you want to be on, because that's blatantly obvious. Try how do they do it? Because they keep an eye on what's going on. And they learn, they interact, and they do the initial grind that's required. Don't get pipe dreams where you think, I'll pop the pill and everything will be 100%. Wish it was, of course we do, but unfortunately it's not like that. This is not highly difficult stuff. So anybody with a matric level should be able to do it. But there is some level of stuff you have to do. And we try and cover it here on a Q&A and help you without wading through oceans and oceans of literature and getting bored out of your mind. Try to get the bullet points in a nutshell, but you've got to interact to make sure you understand. Okay, Gerard, let's have to start AUD first of all. I think it's got a possibility there. I looked at it yesterday. It's going to break through some. Just check it on the daily. Yeah. I think it's a possible downside, but I'm going to go in now. But it might bounce up. The AUD is looking the slightly weaker of the pairs at the moment, so I don't want to buy it up. I want to see a breakthrough here, preferably the round figure 0.8. If we can get a confirmed break of the 1.08 level, I probably would be looking to short. It's not my favorite currency pair to trade, simply because they're pretty similar economies, similar cultures, etc. But when I see an opportunity, why let it go? But if it does break down there, and the Chinese situation, they're not really having much growth there. Still problems of property. I see probably more downside on Aussie dollar creeping in. Probably look for a short there, but I wouldn't be doing it at the moment, no. And it's pretty damn slow. But there's a potential one coming up, but not the moment. Okay, Brent, we can do after we've looked at GBP NZD. Right, GBP NZD, you want to sell it. I'm on the negative side of the pound at the moment, like I mentioned, from a fundamental basis, so I'm happy with that. NZD is okay, but it's not the strongest one at the moment either. Had a bit of a risk on area earlier on in the week from last week, but it started to dry down a bit. Um, the lack of big momentum in China affects NZD as well, but not quite to the extent of the Aussie, but it does to a certain extent as well. So I personally think that I'd rather short the pound against a stronger currency than the NZD at the moment. And it's borne up the fact it's going to be a bit of a range trade at the moment. It's not even the sell zone, it's in the neutral zone. It's pretty even Stevens at the moment. Look at the last 2, 3 days. It's been chugging around in a bit of a well, it's quite a big one actually, about 100 pip range. It could still pop up another 100 pips and come down again or break. I don't know. I'm not that keen on this, to be honest. I think I'm going to leave it alone. That's my take. Right. What, Gerard? You'd say you want to look at this sell. Do you feel it's worth taking it now, or do you want to sell it further back up, or do you think a range trade to buy it back up? What's your opinion on that? I'm going to stay out. Given mine, let's hear yours. You say it could bounce back up, so you might want to say, okay, I'm not going to do it. But you might think, I'll do a range trade back up and then sell it down again if you'd feel good of it. But the only reason why range trade is very much a possibility, but I just prefer to pick something that's a little bit better than the NZD to try and get cute with. Okay. I'm going to leave it alone, guy. Yeah. Yeah. If it bounces up, then comes off, I'd sell it down there rather. Yeah. Get a bit nervous here. If it breaks through, stay on board. If it doesn't, take your profit. Something like that. Okay. You with me? Are we good? Should we move on? Right. Spend it more time on it if you want. It's up to you guys. This is the forum, guys. Good. Can we move on? Okay, I presume we can move on. No one's replying. So if you're happy with that, we'll move on. If you're not, we can discuss it further. Gold supposed to do that. Yeah, I think there's a possibility you might get a little bit of a bounce at these levels here, but it's tried already today. Look at the 1 hour. Tried already, and they're not sure. What does that tell you on the 1 hour? They're nerves to guys to sell it down to the moving average at 1934, but the buyers are still nerves of the upside. So what do? They prop trade it, or they range trade it, or they high speed trade it, whatever, but the nerves to get a direction either way. So I'm going to join them on the bandwagon on that. Look at that range, tiny. Look at the 4 hour, tiny. $4.5 range at the moment. And you got a dollar cost there, you see. It's not worth your while. Trade $4, that's 25% com. If $1 is your cost, you're looking $4 TP, you're paying 25% com. Can if you like, but it's, So bottom line is it could actually come back to 200. Then we look at the DXY, we look at the yields. If they're holding and start to come off a little bit, we could get a bounce up. If they continue to go up, then we could get a further moving down on gold. Any escalation in the war in the Middle East, and it comes back on the front pages and everyone talks about it and fear comes in again, people will start buying into gold because it's the fear factor. There's a lot of balls in the air at the moment. I would suggest you'd rather stand clear on this one for the moment. I'm not sure I'll be joining for sale. I think it's a bit late to sell it at the moment, but I'll be, I think, a bit hesitant to buy it either. My best suggestion, Edwin, at the moment is to look at the 1 hour chart I just showed you there. It's not really going anywhere. I think it's a bit of a coin flip this time, whether it does bounce, because there might be some profit taking bounce here. Remember, short covering bounce might occur here. But what's the extent of it before the sellers come in? It might be a couple of dollars, not worth your while. And I certainly wouldn't bid it up to 1980 to make it worth your while. So I think probably the best, more prudent thing to say is just stay aside. Okay. Okay.
How's it, Roger?
What was the other one you wanted to look at? Was the what? Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, I'm busy driving.
yeah.
Did you mention something that Clinton comments here today? Brent dropped below 80. We must look at a trade there.
Yeah.
Brent?
Yeah, we can look at Brent tomorrow. Just write it down because I'm missing some of these. I want to look at Brent. I've got it written down, just a reminder as well. Brent, NZD, CHF, we can look at now. And after we looked at the NAS, someone look at the NAS. Okay. Thanks, you got it. Good stuff. Very important. If you don't, please let me know. People are a bit embarrassed to say so. They go on in the fog of mist around them, not seeing it, and then they miss out. Yeah. The NAS, clearly that's now taken out the downtrend line and it's clearly in the buy zone. So in all theory, that is a buy, correct? Well, my problem is I think that's a bull trap. Now, I might be completely wrong, but because of my fear of that, I'm not going to buy this. I'm looking for a break back down below the trend line and yesterday's low to maybe a pullback, but I'm not confident to do it at the moment. And people, or not just myself, you can clearly see I've frightened that bull trap because you can see yesterday's candle. It's an indecision candle. You understand that? What does that mean? There's no point in saying that's an indecision candle. What it means? It means the buyers and sellers haven't got a cooking clue. All right. You see what I mean, guys? Okay, we got Lerato thinks a buy. We got cool. Kia, I'll call you Kia. It's easier for me. Think it's Lerato thinks a sell and Kia thinks a buy, or Kia thinks a sell and Lerato thinks a buy. Are you sure about Lerato? No. Are you sure about that, Kia? No. Are you sure about that, Roger? Well, actually, no. That's why you're getting that. We're not bloody well sure. Do you understand? When you're not sure and they don't know, and the majority of buyers and sellers don't know, I would say probably stay aside. Probably far more prudent to stay aside. Okay. And as Puan says, can go either bloody way, can go both ways or either way. So I think personally, it's just my opinion. This is a bull trap moving. I don't think we're out the international debt wars yet. I've mentioned many times the debts around the world is hectic. In fact, I'll tell you, it's over $300 trillion debt worldwide, but the assets worldwide are just over $100 trillion. So we own more than we actually have. And this is all notes of paper, if you like, being pushed around the place, and sort of accounting and sleight of hand is playing around it. And somehow they're going to say, what is the actual substance backup behind all this paper debt flying around? You know what I'm saying? And I think that could come back and bite. Yeah, recessions pretty much happening in a lot of places as well. Yeah, I'm very worried going along at these levels. I'm going to leave it alone. Simple as that. It can bullish flag, it might well be. Bullish is technically. Because of what I've just mentioned, I'm not going for it. I'm certainly not going to buy it, but I want a lot more confirmation before I even think of selling it at the moment. So I'm going to leave this alone. Okay. Hope you're good with that one. Now, Brent was another one, getting NZDCHF. Brent. Right. Brent, keep an eye on Brent. Clear it's a sell zone. Clearly it's come back quite a bit in the last few days. big inventory surplus in the United States on Wednesday. There's this all hints, but no confirmation. The Saudis they're going to extend their $1 million per day barrel non-production. Trying to get the English right here. Okay, where was I? Okay, and on top of it, the Chinese economy. Remember, that's the biggest importer of oil by far in the world. That's suffering a bit, so they're holding back. And look at itself from your point of view. Do you go day driving in gas guzzlers just for the fun of it, day trip? No, you watch it a bit because the petrol price is high. Same worldwide. So so we've had a bit of a pullback. Let's come back to demand decrease. The problem is, before we get the technical side, do the producers want a low price? Well, no. Do they want excessively high price? No, either, because otherwise go out of business. Simply put, let's do the beer economics. You're selling beer for, let's say, 30, make it 50 rand a pint. I don't care if it's 60 rand or 40 rand, doesn't matter. Call it 50 rand a pint. You, as a seller, want to sell 100. The buyer wants to pay 10 rand. So somewhere online, you've got to agree. Now, the seller doesn't go out of business and the buyer wants to support you, clearly. Now, it's getting to the stage now where they think, well, hang on a minute, it's getting a bit on the cheap side. So there could be an extension coming out from the producers of the holding back of that $1 million before they start pumping up again. In other words, not very well put, they've got the taps. If they increase production, they can bring it down. They withdraw production of oil, supply and demand, push it up. They've got the hand on that tap, the Saudi in particular, to a certain extent, the Russians, etc. They can do that. Okay. So I personally think, despite it's coming off a bit, there could be a bit of a bounce, number one. Number two, you guys have sold short for whatever reason. No matter you guys, a large amount of guys have done it, and big institutions have done it. They're now getting a bit nervous to read they're just given, so they might start thinking, I might take profit. What do you do when you sell short to take profit? Do you sell to exit your position? No, you buy, don't you? So you buy to exit. What happens if you buy? It puts the price up. So we could get a bit of an oversold bounce here, a bit worried about the producers, etc. So that means that's giving us an opportunity of these oversold areas to buy it. Well, at 79.50, I thought it myself, but I thought it's bounced up 30 cents, but it's going to be maintained. So let's look at a shorter term chart. Are we getting any follow through? Came up, then it came off a bit, and it came up, and a few sellers coming in there. You can see the wick. Let's try the hourly. See, popped up, a few sellers coming in. It's meandering along. There's plenty of upside potential occurs. We don't want to get caught if the Saudis don't come to the party and let it fall further. Because remember, we are going against the trend. So for the moment, I'm saying keep an eye on it. I think there's some potential here. Too late to sell it down, okay? But I think we could get a bit of a recovery for the reasons I gave, not technically, just supply and demand, if nothing else, and profit taking, where we might get some upside. But we won't get too cute at this stage on the TP, but we might get a possibility of it. But I don't think the size of the profit is enough to justify the extreme risk at this particular point. So I'm going to, well, oil's oil, Cecil, with this one or the other one. At this stage, leave it alone. Okay, that's my take. Are you happy with that? What's it doing? If it's near the signal price, Voldu, go for it. Yeah. Look at the price and use just basically use a bit of common sense. If you say sell at 10 and the price is 8, it's too far away. If you say sell at 10, it's just above 10, you're getting a better price. If it's like 9.99, what difference does it make? You know, just check out the price. I hope that made clear. Just use a bit of common sense on that. Yeah. Get a signal price miles away. Well, you consider it. If it's more or less the same, plus buys a pip or two, what the hell? Obviously, yeah. Are we on the same page? If you want to do it, well, up to you. I've traded my case. If you still want to do it, that is your case, and I'll put the RR up. Anyone want to buy or sell this? I'll probably look more like Monday as well. Yeah. Anyone want to buy or sell this stage? Remember, guys, a lot of people call me up and I'm the TR. I can't reply. Okay. If you don't, that's a very good point, Musi, and that's even better point. Don't know why. I really like that. I don't trade Brent. If you don't like Brent, don't sodding do it. Absolutely. Don't know why. If you feel uncomfortable with it, most of the emotions we have, I tell you right now, we don't really understand. What makes a complex human being simple and complex at the same time? The simple part, we all have that genetic uh, um, area where we feel greed and fear. We all have it. Don't care who you come from, where. I don't care if you're a dog, a Homo sapien, or a bear, or I don't know, crocodile. I don't know about crocodile, but you know what I mean. Fear and greed. What we do have, though, is cultures, different emotions. And a lot of those emotions can often be inexplicable to the person having them. You like that crocodile? Yeah. Inexplicable to the person having them. And when a few people I've come across, Muzi, who actually say, I don't know why. And I'm sorry I'm going on about it. That's brilliant. I'm going to be honest with you, Muzi. Most people don't know why, but because they won't say that, they try and justify all sorts of logic. I'm telling you, most of the time, they don't know why themselves. I know for myself, why are we arguing about this? Come on, be honest. Let's say you say to your spouse, that happened to me in the past a long time ago. And I can turn around and say, well, statter. Actually, I don't bloody well know. Remember that old cartoon where the wife or the husband turns around to the spouse and says, we're on the same side. Why are we arguing? These are all emotions come from religion, culture, experience in life. You're bitten by a dog when you're youngster, you don't even remember, but it's stuck there in the brain. All that. So a lot of the time, one doesn't know why. Very good comment. Excellent comment, in fact. Yeah. And that's sometimes we get these very strange movements in the market and in life itself. It's because some of the reads are emotional, which don't make a lot of logical sense. I shouldn't. I'm giving a chance to give my experience. You laugh at me now. It's not that. It's not common, but it's a bit. It's not that common, but it's not totally unheard of. I'm frightened of chickens. There you are, guys. I'm not too keen a charging lion, but if you put me in the same room as a flapping chicken, then I'll completely panic. And they say, oh, it won't do any harm. If it did me any harm, it would not be a phobia. A phobia is something that cannot do you any harm, like a fear of spiders, unless it can. If it can bite and sting and kill you, it's venom. Yeah, it's different. Fear of snakes, like a adder. Obviously, that's different because that can kill you. But if it can't do any harm, you're frightened. Yeah, that's why I keep my window closed and on my balcony. Well, not quite closed, just small at the moment because I've got an open balcony and I'm frightened of a bird flicking around and get into the room. I'd have to stop the training room and panic, go outside and call someone to help me get the bird out because I'd panic. It's called ornithophobia. There's an Alfred Hitchcock film made years ago on that, by the way, and it's not that uncommon. It's just a strange. I don't mind them, don't dislike them. No, I'm not against them. A lot of people have that fear of cats, that sort of thing. But it's quite strange. Going back to what you're saying, music, that's quite a situation we've got to face up. We do stuff, we're not sure why. And if you're uncomfortable with gold or Brent or the euro dollar or the pound or whatever, don't do it. There's plenty of other opportunities. Absolutely. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's see. Just a little thing flash on my screen, just a reminder, Powell speak tonight. There could be a bit of ramp up of volatility as he's speaking. So you probably have a bit of a quiet market going ahead today. Don't expect much movement. People are a bit nervous when he speaks, and then you often get some chops and changes depending on what he says. 9% is more or less what you expect, but the reaction can be unexpected, as Musi just pointed out there. Sometimes I think, well, hang on, he's not saying anything new. It's the violent movements because people want to see some, often is not there. We're all human. Okay, good stuff. Cheers now, Kyo. Hope to see you again. Hope you enjoyed the session here. Remember, it's ongoing. It's not a class where you, at the end of your passing or fail exam, going that pass an exam and that's it. Now you know it's ongoing forum. Just bear that in mind. Hope we're all clear on that. Got to have value for it. Okay, good stuff. I think on everything. I mean, primarily, obviously, gold, dollar, maybe a little bit on oil, the stock market, the index, etc. But yeah, I mean, remember that I'm thinking more of maybe the power other stuff, but I think more Swiss franc. Remember, that's also very much a safe haven because it's stability. if they suddenly find that people are turning more because these, let's say, high yields and maybe leaving gold alone a bit, getting a bit worried about the dollar, they might find the Swiss franc a safe haven, or they might find the gold a better safe haven and get out of the Swiss franc, things like that. So yeah, it'll affect most of them to a more or lesser extent, but the major ones will affect obviously its own currency, stock market, etc. But a lot of them just get affected, and sometimes, again, like Musi said, surprisingly, why? I'd give a good example of non-farm payrolls. The difference this last one was tiny in comparison to the previous month, but the reaction was far bigger this month. So often you're going to get a go figure emotional reaction. And you all get this analyst afterwards, justifying all sorts of fancy reasons. Well, they didn't say that before the release, did they? That's just justifying afterwards. That's covering their ass. You know what I mean? I try to be upfront and say, not quite sure that why it happened, and not try and scientifically blind you with science, which is a fancy, long-winded way of saying I don't bloody well know. Okay, so there we are. So yeah, a little bit, but it's have affect a lot of things. Didn't see a stop trading. Just be a little bit aware of the fact it might be a bit slow, and be a little bit aware of the dollar. Okay. Might be a damn squib. I think like everything else, it's just going to say, I'm pretty damn sure. Don't want to spook the markets. Well, we still have that goal inflation. It takes time for interest rate that to filter through into the inflation price action. If it's necessary, we might have to change the tune, but at the moment it's unlikely we're going to have any more. But if the situation requires, we'll give the necessary remedy. So what's so magically different and obvious about that? You look at your leg seems to be healing, Mr. Smith, but if it doesn't, then we'll have to administer some more medicine. Well, what's so complicated about that? But emotion take over and jumping around and all sorts. You know what I mean? Okay, so there we are. That's why I said try and take some of this mystique out, because I love fling you full of long words, long verbiage, mystique to make it sound all sort of clever and complicated. When that MACD crosses there on this 19 and 25 algorithm and the Bollinger Band moving average crosses that, whatever. That's all lagging stuff and sounds clever and the rest of it. Price action and emotional reaction to the price action mingled in with the fear and greed is really where it's at. Okay. Okay. All good? All happy? NZDCHF. So about don't overexpose the Swiss franc. If you've got a couple in the Swiss franc, be a little bit circumspect going to the third, certainly not a fourth, in case something goes wrong with the Swiss franc. You say, I want to risk 500 Rand a trade, and you got 4 trades of Swiss franc. You're actually risking 2,000 Rand of Swiss franc. You get my point? Maybe could look at 3, but probably keep around about 1 or 2. Do I think there's downside here? Absolutely, yes. To answer your question, I'm quite honest, I'm in this one. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. We'll only see after the fact, you know what I mean? But I'm actually short on this one. I think I'm in slightly profit, actually. Not quite sure. I can't remember what got in it. I'll tell you now. So a quick peek. Yeah, I'm in a slight profit. Stop still way out the way, but I'm in a slight profit. But yeah, but if you got GBP Swiss franc, you got this Swiss franc and that Swiss franc and that Swiss franc, getting another one, we've got AUD Swiss franc. That's the only way I didn't really push. We've got GBP and AUD going out this morning. Now with the NZD, you get the idea. We start overexposing one currency. But otherwise, other than that, yeah, I see the short, yeah. Sorry, Muzi, I hope I answered your question on that one, the PAL GBP CHF. So whoever asks the NZD CHF, if you're not in too many Swiss franc currency pairs, I like it very much so. Yeah, agreed. Good one. You're good. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're covered. What a pity, because I'm also on the side insurance salesman. I was hoping I'd be able to sell some insurance. Okay, damn. Sorry, just being facetious. Okay, so go back NZDCHF. After what I said, if you're not in it and you want to do it and you don't have exposure to Swiss franc, I do like the trade. Yeah, I do see downside. Yeah, Rizzy. Yeah, I do see downside. So anyone want to put the R up in the meantime? That's your choice. I'm just giving my side of it, but anyone want to look at a trade on that? Okay, we'll do it. Look at tests in a minute. It opens up later. Just remind me, Gerards. No panic on tests at the moment. I'll be very, very nervous to buy it or sell at the moment, but we'll come to that in a minute. What am I doing? TP. I went through the TP. Sometimes those people modify the TP, made a bigger profit. Don't forget, guys, you can modify. I missed it, to be honest. Hit my TP before I had a chance to modify. I looked at something else. But there's no harm modifying TP, modifying your stop. You can even partly close some of your trade, let the other volume run. It's up to you. But yeah, probably will do. If we get a momentum down, let's say we get some momentum from Powell later on today, it probably, even if it's a strong company, might get caught in that momentum pull back. Yeah. But just because it's a bit high, it's not a good enough for you to sell it. We'll have to look at it. But yeah, let's do this first of all.
Roger,
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
what's the opening that for the guys there? They just mentioned Tesla and Nvidia. It reminded me something I wanted to ask. I heard, I just want to check if you know about it. I heard that Elon Musk has got an XAI new company or other investment for people like us to invest in. Have you heard about that?
Well, I can't help but hear it's battered all over the bloody place. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm keen on this kind of advertising, to be honest with you, Muzi. There's a large amount of people who are financially desperate, haven't got much money, and looking for a quick solution. And they see things like, oh, for investment of 4,000 Rand, you can make 300,000 or whatever. When I see that, I get very wary. I'm not knocking AI. We don't have it on this particular company, Quick Trade. We have it on the platform, but not Quick Trade. Robots, we call expert advised EAs, quite common out there, but they're not infallible. Nothing is. Remember, you've got to have a buyer and a seller to make the market work. If infallible, the market wouldn't work, because how can you buy something if no one's going to sell it, and vice versa? Promising unrealistic returns to people who are not that knowledgeable on what the reality is, I'm not that keen on. I'm not saying he's put his brand name behind it. It's not going to be a good, well thought of algorithm in that AI. And the way it's going, it's moving more and more towards AI. I mean, everyone knows that. Absolutely, everyone knows that. But I question the way it's being marketed as some sort of infallible way where you start with sod all and get a lot. I'm trying to wean people off that attitude. Yes, might be well, but just prepared to take the loss, but go with your eyes open, and always remember, if you're putting water into the bottle, don't expect 100-year-old brandy to come out. People are still expecting that I go to the hairdresser and pay the hairdresser whatever the fee is for a haircut, and I'm going to come out looking like Mr. Film star handsome. No, it takes a bit more than that.
Yes, I remember.
So yeah, I'm a little bit wary of that, but you hear what I'm saying. I'm certainly not knocking the product. I'm just questioning this particular continual way it's being marketed. I'm not keen on it. It sucks in people who are the most defenseless, and I just don't think that's right. You know.
Okay. No. Thanks. Okay.
But otherwise, yeah. If someone wants to experiment, I might do myself after with it and have a go at it. Fine. You see, it works out. Don't expect putting 1,000 suddenly come out 100,000 or whatever. But if it works out all right, why not? Absolutely, totally in favor of it. But just putting these unrealistic expectations on people is, everything else is going to be disappointing. You bought that car for 10,000 Rand, expecting it to do 0 to 200 in 5 seconds. It's a brilliant car. It did 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. Be inevitably going to be disappointed because it's been extreme high promise, with obviously, and the delivery almost certainly can't keep up with that promise. And that's where you get yourself in a jam. Okay. I'm wondering about it myself. I'm not saying he's put his name behind it, but then again, there's so much fake on there. They might have copy and paste it through the AI and put his face on somebody else talking. You can do that. Now I haven't got the technical skills of it, but guys can put out basically, the bullet points, hand over the AI, and you get some guy who's highly loquacious, highly articulate, highly well spoken, in excellent language putting out for you, and you think it's me talking. No, it's the AI talking, I question that, to be honest. I question that. And if that is the case, how come there's so many very clever people really know the score, have access to multi-million-dollar equipment, not getting those returns using that themselves? Why is that not happening? I still think it's aiming at, again, the less educated, financially desperate people who have to give but want the world in return. And I think they're getting sucked in, and the little bit they've got usually ends up being taken off them. And that's, to me, is unethical and morally incorrect. You're basically playing the simple, and it's not right. The idea is you should be defending them, not playing them. And you think those politicians, those advertisers, those media, your friends, then they're on their own side. Trust me. You can benefit out of it. That's the cherry on the top, but they're not there to benefit you. They're there to benefit themselves, like everybody else. And they're sorry, Zeph, he's quite experienced. He's been around. He wasn't born yesterday. Yeah, I do believe Elon Musk has got a brand name to risk, but I'm not against the fact that it might have done some tweaking with it. Yeah, I mean, I say a lot of things. Record everything I've said over the last year, and you can put it together and cut this out, put that in, and it sounds like I'm saying something completely different. As they call it, out of context. Yeah. Is that right? Okay, so might just finish that article there. You just wrote that paragraph you wrote there. Yeah. I just can't see somebody with his brand name standing up and seeing those adverts on Instagram and God knows what else, which is famous for its misinformation. They're coming out with returns of that level, which, quite frank, that was the case. The banks, why would they lend to you for 6-7%? They'd take their money and said, sod you, we'll put the lot. If you put in $5,000 to get those returns, they'll put in 5 million and they'll be wealthier than all the bloody wealth there's ever been, you know? And understand, Cecil, exactly what's going on yourself. You start relying on other people. I'll give an example. I'm the captain of this ship and I love Cecil very much. Shame, Cecil, panic not. This is only hypothetical. Oh, he's such a sweetie, is Cecil. But anyway, I love Cecil very much. The problem is I want to go to Greece and he wants to go to Spain. Well, Cecil, we might get to Spain, but because I'm the captain of this ship, I'm in control, we go to Greece first. Simple as that. Okay, because I've got that control. So with that knowledge, take the time and the effort to do it, then you're control, and then you can make informed decisions. It's those appealing to people who can't. And I think that's immoral. But again, we all got to vote. We all, Homo sapiens, supposed to be able to think, which the non-Homo sapien cannot do. Employ that and draw out. This is looking a little bit iffy, to say the least. And if you do believe in that, give me 1,000 rand, guys, and I'll turn to 100,000 by the end of the week. The only problem is you send me all that 1,000 rand, you can't get hold of me because I'm now in the Bahamas. Address unknown. Okay. Okay, NZDCHF. There we are. I've been putting up. Anyone it? If you want a tighter stop, I suggest you don't. I would suggest you get a lower volume and go for it. But that's 150 bucks. If you want a tighter stop, obviously that 150 will come down. That's up to you. But I've got those figures up. If you want to do it, you're not overexposed to Swiss franc. I do like it, yeah. And the next question, while you're looking to make the trade, if you want it, why hasn't Elon Musk kicked up about it? He might not know about it. It might be just over here. There's a doubt they'll be posting that all over there. And some of the interviews here have been particularly South African, if I remember. So it could be guys particularly aiming at this market because they know this enormous unemployment and quite frankly, not that high level of education. That's probably an easy way to get stuck into them. You know what I mean? So just be careful of that. These are not your friends. As one guy once said, the press is not your friend. Okay, Karapa, there you are if you want it. Okay, so read what Cecil says. Try and get in control so you're the captain rather than relying on somebody else to look after you. Because they end up looking after themselves first anyway. Oh, yes, sorry, Burn, yeah. Yeah, could well be. As I said, it's still a bull trap. It's too quick to even look at me, my opinion, short at the moment. But I think if it is correct, a bull trap, the market comes back. Even though it's a great company, it'll be caught up in the momentum, and we could get a pullback. Yeah, I agree. But wait again for confirmation. Powell might change things over. It might burst further upside. That's the thing. So just be a little bit careful. But yeah, and Tesla. And just want to mention some of that. Disney came out with some good stuff. Might get a slight higher price on opening. Why? When Disney's battling, was it what do you call that? EPSN or what do you call it? That sports brand they've got over in the United States that did well. Well, surprise, surprise. When you take out a DSTV package or whatever, you can't just take out the sports one. You've got to take out the most expensive bouquet, I think they call it. Why? Because that's the reason why you want DSTV. With a few exceptions, most people get DSTV simply because they want the sport. Okay. So surprise, surprise, it's the sporting one that produced the profits. The others didn't do so well because a lot of the competition and most of their product is same old, same old. They push the same narrative. You know, it's one's called when you get an aspirin, you got, let's say, Gerard aspirin, you got a sort of a Purn aspirin, you got a George aspirin. They're still bloody aspirins under a different name. What did Shakespeare say? A rose by any other, a rose is a rose by any other name. What the expression is? Okay, but yeah, yeah. Anyway, Tesla. Okay. Yeah. One of the issues I'm having with Tesla is the fact that they've got to really take off somehow, get these production costs down without inhibiting any way of the quality to make it more affordable. That's the problem. Okay. And that's why it's hovering around a bit. Is he going to get there? Well, they seem to come to the party every time. So probably yes. Long term, probably yes. Short term, I'm not too keen at the moment. I think there's bigger things with the market to play on. Very much indecision, as you can see the last few days. Might continue. It could pull back a bit. I think it's ever limited where it gets so oversold it could go further up. But it's such a volatile stock at the moment. I think, well, I'm going to leave it alone. But if you want to take your chance for buy at this level, you can, or sell, it's up to you. But I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, fair enough, Good Good enough. Okay. No, smart money is what smart money is. I'm going to change the smart money and call it the big money. Just because Cecil happens to have $100 billion doesn't say he's smart. He might have won in the lottery, or he might have been the prodigal son whose father's very, very wealthy, died, leave it all to him. And he's been spending most of his life having fun, and now he's not necessarily smart. He's more having fun. Sorry, Cecil, but you know what I mean. Just had the name come up. Okay. So it's the big money. All right. Now, the big money buys Tesla. What's going to happen to the price? Where's a good company or not? It's going to go up. It's irrelevant, right? If the big money decides to sell Tesla, it's going to come down. Where's a good money? Whether it's a good company or not? You know what I mean? It's like a good area in housing. If I suddenly walk in and I'm a very wealthy guy and start buying up in a crappy area, push the price up, and I suddenly sell off like mad in Clifton in Cape Town, bring the price down. Simple as that. That's what it says. Follow the big money, smart money, if you like. Price action, just the movement of the price. Price action is a result of it. So if they all start buying Tesla, the price action will respond by moving up or vice versa. I'm actually on board with that already, actually. Oh, there I am. I got in, I think it was about 18.24. I've got my stop at 18.3 by the by. I'm just letting it run. I can't lose and let it run. Yeah, what's going to happen? Well, it's $1 at the moment. Wait till it happens after Powell. Maybe look at it again tomorrow. And then see if we can get a trade. At the moment, no, leave it alone. Technically leave it alone. Powell, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Yeah, but I still think that we're not far from out the woods yet. There's still a heck of a lot of corruption, gangster involvement, as we know in South Africa. Major problems with transport because it's gone broke. They need 130 billion, which the fiscal from the fiscus, which I'm not sure they've got or want to give if they have. So transport problems, energy problems, all sorts of areas. Large unemployment, large amount of unskilled unemployment, all that sort of carried up. The way forward in the rand now is not exactly gapingly strong. But that being made, any hint to try to do something about it might give it a bit of strength. We'll see. But technically speaking, I'm not sure I'd be selling it down because it looks like a sell, technically speaking. Sell a dollar, buy the rand, but I'm rather uncomfortable buying the rand. I missed out on this movement down because I'm very uncomfortable buying the rand. I'm looking more for any pullbacks I might buy, but at the moment, leave it alone, and especially with Powell speaking tonight. So leave it alone. On top of that, guys, I mentioned before, if you're new to this, don't start your trade with the ZAR. The ZAR is called an exotic, more volatile, it's higher, much higher costs and much higher margin, and etc. This is more some of you play around. You got some more money and been trading for a while. Just leave this alone anyway in the meantime. And certainly not an account of 2 or 3 grand because you won't have enough money to play this one. Okay. Stick to the maiden crosses at this stage of the game.
Yes, Roger.
Okay, go for it, Muzi.
Yes, another clarity I wanted to hear from you. You know, sometimes when you have your moving averages, I'm making an example. You go on a day time frame. Let's say you find most of your moving averages below the candles. Then you go to a 4-hour time frame. You find your moving averages on top of the candles.
Above.
What do you make of that?
Yep.
Which
I make of
must
that
you
conflicting. Now, no. Very good question. Very good question. I call that conflicting. Now, I'm very strong on buying this particular one. I might ignore the conflicting area on the 4-hour. However, if I'm just need to have more fuel or more points to me going a long or a short, let's pretend it's not the ZAR. Pretend it's another currency. We're looking at the technicals, okay? I'm looking at a short there. So we go to the 4-hour and we find the 4-hour on here up there above all of them. Hang on, I'm looking to short it, but the 4-hour, it looks like a long. It's conflicting. I probably would stand aside. Not in every case, but often the case I just say, one is pulling, the other's pushing. Do you understand what I'm saying? That I'd call
Basically, if you can look
conflicting.
at GBP CHF, that's why I'm looking exactly just to be more practical.
Okay, good stuff. Give me a second. Right, the 4-hour looks like buy. Where's the blue? Yeah, it looks like a buy there. The daily looks like a sell. Right, that's conflicting. It came up this morning, came up the trade idea. Why did I stick with it? Because I added to the fuel that the longer term one is the daily, which is slightly more powerful than the shorter term. So the 4 hours more powerful than the 1 hour. Get the idea. Okay, a weekly is more powerful than the daily. So they'll go to the weekly on that subject. Give me a second. The weekly, it's a sell. The daily, it's a sell. The 4 hours a shorter term. It's a
Yeah, it's a buy.
God, here we go again. Where's the share on this thing? Where's the share on this damn thing? Ah, for goodness sake.
You do look like
Where's my... Ah, share screen.
Roger.
That's better. Just a second. I'm just gonna put the video off. That might save a bit of data. GBP CHF, share it. Okay, I hope you can see that now. Okay, sorry. Again, I just want to quickly explain the fiber guys. Apparently, it's not that great in the air. It's not a technical problem. They're having some fiber problem feeding the air. It's not very technical, but anyway, that's what I come up with. Until they get it fixed outside my control and work on the route, I put it right outside. I just checked it. Everything's 100% there. It's right outside, trying to get a better reception than inside, and just have to stick with it till something's sorted out with on that basis. Okay, so if it comes again, well, at least it's lasted nearly to 11 o'clock. What a pleasure. Okay, just get this guy out the way. I hope you can see. I switched off my video for that reason. Okay, go back to CHF. Okay, yeah. Right. On top of that, the pound is looking weak at the moment. And remember, Swiss franc is the most stable currency. It just got maybe overbought. People starting to sell it because of that real profit take or whatever. It's had a decent weakness. It's gone in my oversold territory and it's gone back to more stable. So overall, I'm saying the Swiss franc, in my opinion, is a lot stronger than the pound. And although it's slightly conflicting, it's a range trade and holding there. As you can see, some seller come in, it tries that. And the 10 times 4 is holding, but the daily does look on the sell side, and the same with the weekly. That's how I came up with the trade idea. But to absolutely agree with you, sometimes I'm a bit iffy or not sure. I'll look at the 4 hours, say, no, that's conflicting. Then I probably will leave alone. That's the reason why I didn't leave it alone in this case. Is that clear, Muzian, everybody? If you're still there, Muzi, I hope I've lost you. And you can hear me all right. I think I've unmuted all right. Can you hear me? Clear as mud. No, is it clear as mud? Do you want me to know? Clear as crystal? Clear as mud means you don't understand it. Should I do it again, was it? I want to be as clear as crystal, not mud.
No, very much clear. Very much clear.
Okay.
Thanks, Roger.
Well, when someone says clear as mud, it means it's not clear. It says clear as crystal means it's clear. It's clear as mud means I didn't understand a thing.
Hey, man.
Okay.
I'm not English.
You got it. Okay. No, I don't. I understand that totally. Yeah, but yeah, that's why I was a bit confused. So just in future, guys, say something as clear as mud. It means thank you very much. I'm a cooking clue what you're on about. Okay, brilliant. All right. Yeah. So there we go. So we're clear on that. So you've got to think in your feet sometimes, and that's why I decided. Okay, so that's the worst trade going out, and I put my name behind it. Although last week it took a bit of a not my name, but overall I hope I wanted to retain that credibility. Don't people lose faith in my name. And as always, you're going to get some losing trades. Accept that. I don't know how good you are. Just hope the winners overcome it. Okay, and over a period of time, I know for a fact that I've had more winners than losers, whether people benefit or not, depending whether they took profit too quickly or did something wrong. Okay, but that's the fact. Okay, all right, so there we go. Let it run, give it a chance. I expect most of the market might be a bit on the quiet side today because of Powell speaking tonight, but we shall see anyway. All right, have I missed anyone? I think I've covered just about everything. I hope I haven't missed everyone. But any other questions? How's DCHF? How's that going? Probably a bit quiet as well, I guess. Let's look. Slightly in profit, but not much. Pretty quiet. US dollar yen, anything happening there? That's still trying to attack because it's quite weak. Let it run. Hopefully they get frightened of those BOJ again and maybe take a bit of profit, pull it down, and maybe better they intercede, and then we get a nice run down, and you'll be very big smile very quickly on your face. See how it goes. No guarantees. Hope it comes right. Okay. All right, guys. Anything else before we have any internet problems? I'm sorry. I've done the best I can on it. Have it outside, etc., until this area sorts out the fibre, which I'm bloody well paying for, I might add. Huh, like electricity, which I'm not always getting. It might take another day or two. I found that out because I've asked a few people around. There's quite a big sort of property business nearby, and they're having serious problems as well. So, and they had a tech guy there who told me it's just the area. It's not my particular fibre. Okay. I like it down here, but unfortunately, it ain't Joburg from that point of view. Okay, guys. Anything else before we close up? You're happy, good pun. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Anthony, and your support. Anything else just before we clear up? Okay, you're all good. You're all getting value. That's the main thing. Guys are just learning for the first time. It's ongoing. I know you're busy, etc. Going to the new year, we'll probably be discussing times to be more convenient. Just bear that in mind. We might be doing that because I know a lot of guys can't join because they're too busy or whatever. We might be playing around with that. Just give it a little. That's in the new year. We might be looking at that to make it a bit more convenient. We're not getting enough people attending. We need to get this up above, way above 100, because it's necessary if you give yourself a chance to train to get practical knowledge. I get like a brotherhood, share ideas, makes it a lot easier. Those who train through the training will understand and make use of that. So we're trying to maybe incorporate that. We'll try a few ideas out. We'll put them up to you guys as well. And this is your suggestions and see if we can get it, tweak it, get it better for all concerned. Okay. Not the moment, but we're going to look at a few things going to the new year to improve upon it for you. Okay. Get a better product for you. Okay, guys, on that subject, if that's all for the moment, catch you tomorrow. Okay, well, good to have you back. Good to have you back. Great to have you back, in fact. Okay. And let's wait for Paul to speak, Edwin. Exactly. All right. Thanks, guys. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, well do. Hope you benefit. It might be a bit confusing at first, but you can hope you see enough light to say, it's a bit to be learned. We might have some fun learning it. And I think you'd far rather learn interacting here and asking questions than going big up a big boring old book and reading it. You know what I'm saying? And studying through a bloody book, you know, and all that sort of thing. Okay, long as you got value, catch you tomorrow and hope to get your support. It will be at first. It will be. What do you expect? It will be. Be fair on yourself. Where their problem is, I'll tell you this to finish on this, too many people are sold. This is a peaceful attack. India can make a lot of money. If you can find something to make a lot of money, it's actually no skill whatsoever. You've solved the unskilled problem of the world. But until it happens, be somewhat circumspect. Okay, cheers, guys. Catch you tomorrow.